Siamak, and this is my geosynthetics podcast. So in this episode, I'm with Ramsey, one of the well-known names in the geosynthetics industry, and he has 38 years of experience, a wealth of knowledge in all geosynthetics, especially in geomembranes. Thank you, Boyd, for spending time in Australia with us and talking to me and my audience in my geosynthetics podcast.
Happy to be here. I wish I could stay longer.
Absolutely. So I start with a generic question about your career, generally 38 years in the industry, and you've seen a lot of things that lots of other people haven't seen, and you've experienced a lot of things. And so my question is about where did you start in this industry? How did you end up in this geosynthetics? And just a brief about your career.
Okay. I actually started outside of the industry in a master batch compounder who would supply stabilizers and carbon black to the industry. At that point, the company they were supplying was Gundel in Houston. And I always thought they would be a cool place to work for a variety of reasons. Helping the planet was one of them, but at that time it was a really cool place, very exciting. And then Gundel and SLT, which was the other local company, eventually merged, and they set out to hire some people. And the day before they became GSE, I was hired on at Gundel, but I was a GSE person. So I worked for them up until about 4.5 years ago, a variety of positions in sales and technical and quality. I was the ISO rep for a while, and I managed sales for a while. And then the last stint I did for them was 3 years as the technical director Asia Pacific. I worked in China. And then I started an independent consultancy, which I've done for the last 4 years.
Yep, absolutely. So you are a consultant in the geosynthetics these days, and that's what you do. So we are speaking at the end of 2-day workshop in Brisbane. ASIC's workshops on geomembranes, and you had a 2-day in Melbourne as well. So I think lots of topics that we talked about during the 2-day workshop. But to me, I think the highlight of the day was probably the subject around lifespan of the geomembranes, durability of these materials. If you can summarize or maybe tell us about your opinion about that topic, that would be great.
Sure, and we did come back to that over and over again at both the workshops. Australia is a difficult application. You guys have high temperatures, solar radiation, and they use geosynthetics and geomembranes very aggressively here. And as a result, the standard product works pretty well around the world. And it works okay here, but the Australian folks would like to buy something better. So that keeps them on the front edge of testing, keeps them on the front edge of material development and evaluating new materials in these new difficult applications. So it's a very, very good place to work. But all of the, when you push something to the edge, like a race car, all the special details become really, really important. And that's what we spent most of the last couple days discussing.
Absolutely, yeah. And the very important topic around circular economy. I know you're an advocate of circular economy, so we can always think about reusing material, recycling material, whether we recycle geosynthetics or whether we use recycled material to produce geosynthetics. What's your opinion on that?
Again, a very Australian issue. The WMRR, your Waste Management Resource Recovery Organization, is very strong in promoting the use of recycled materials. You can't, nobody else in the world now can send their recycling to China. And I think in general, the geosynthetics industry needs to do a better job, as does the plastics industry, on addressing the use of recycled, because we're a good place to use it. Companies such as Geofabrics, K-Tech in South Africa, they use recycled PET bottles to manufacture a fabric that can be used in many specialty applications. So that's a very good thing. But we have other applications in materials where we could take a feed stream and use it to produce a prime quality geosynthetic. And I think as an industry we need to do that, and I know IGS has an initiative to research that and work on it, and I strongly support it. You know, we can't extract, use, and throw away anymore. It doesn't work.
As a matter of fact, one of IGS's focuses these days is around sustainability, so that's a very important topic.
Absolutely.
So one of the other highlights of this workshop was conversations around PFAS, emerging contaminants. And you have done coordinated testing around PFAS, and you're involved with this and globally in contact with people who are working on this topic at this stage. What's your opinion on that, or what's your conclusion so far?
It's quite difficult because there's not a lot of testing available. The PFAS molecules are a little bit different structurally than most chemicals, so it's hard to make an approximation as you can with some other aromatics, for example. The other complication is that there's not a lot of hard data that exists on PFAS.
Of course.
So I've tried to promote testing. Queen's University is doing testing, and there's testing being done in other places as well. We're trying to provide answers as fast as possible to the regulators. They're confronted with, you know, what do I do with this material? I have PFAS contaminated soil. I have an activated carbon unit that's absorbed PFAS, and I've improved the environment, but now I have it all concentrated in this thing. What do I do with it?
Yep.
And putting it in a landfill is a little scary for the landfill operator.
Absolutely.
Because of the legal obligations and potential problems. So we've tried to answer that question as best as possible. I think the other thing that needs to happen on the PFAS side is a realistic listing of what the acceptable concentrations are, given the threat to health and human services and the economic and capability impact. You know, the current US EPA guidance is 70 parts per trillion. That's 70 seconds in 31,000 years.
Yeah.
We probably can't clean the whole planet to that level. So we need to pay attention to that and come up with something realistic, because the really bad sites are really bad. And Australia has several where they've done firefighting training and used PFAS type chemicals in firefighting suppression over and over and over again. So clearly the prioritization needs to be made and treatment needs to be done. But at some point we have to decide whether that is the worst problem that our human race has.
Yeah.
And now that COVID-19 has hit, maybe it's not the worst thing anymore. So
yeah, definitely. Yeah, agree. And I think it's something that we will hear about it in the future. So it's in the geomembrane industry especially. I think the research will go on and we hear about it more and more.
And there's a GCL component too. Some of the GCL manufacturers have products specifically targeted at this. And the composite products have always performed better than the individuals. So hopefully that will play out here as well.
Exactly. And back to my question about your career. I think we can probably, normally we call designers the consultants, but everybody can be a consultant. I think you can call a contractor and ask a question, consult with them about an installation of a specific material. But you've been probably a consultant throughout the 38 years of your experience, but now it's more focused on consultancy rather than manufacturing or products or sales. So what do you think when you look back in the past 38 years being in the geosynthetics industry as a highlight in your career, and what do you think was like a turning point for you? Was it when you changed from a manufacturing person back into a focus on the consulting role, or was it something that you always remember as a turning point, as a highlight in your career?
The thing I've liked best is not so much consulting, but teaching.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think geosynthetics are very beneficial to the world. I think they make the earth a better place. They help us control the environment and keep things clean and tidy. And I've been very proud to work in this industry for a long time.
Yeah.
I've trained a whole lot of people. Most of the sales staff for multiple manufacturers in the United States, I trained them. You know, they didn't learn everything from me, but they learned quite a bit from me. and also around the world when I started to go to China. And I've had the opportunity to travel around the world, which has been a real blessing for me. I really appreciate that. So teaching other people, and then I've had people come up to me at conferences and who I've worked with in the past and thank me for helping them along their careers, and that really makes me feel good. I really like that.
Exactly, best thing. It's a feeling that you sort of always have that slide at the beginning of your presentations that you talk about your purpose, and if you want to have a quick
sure.
reflection of that.
And I'll send you the slide so maybe you can put it up as part of this podcast.
Sure.
But I feel very lucky in that I feel I found a purpose for my life. Mm-hmm. Something I'm good at, that the world needs, that I can make money at, that I enjoy doing. And I think everybody who works in the geosynthetic industry ought to be proud of our industry and what we do, because we get to firsthand make the world a better place. And a lot of people are a couple degrees removed from that, and I think it's easy for them to get frustrated, and we should feel proud of the accomplishments that our industry makes.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thanks, Boyd.
Thank you,
this is all we have time for today, and thank you for talking to me and my audience, and we catch you later in our next episode.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.